We are live. Welcome to my video. This is going to be my thoughts on The Walking Dead Season 3, Episode 16. Welcome to the Tombs! This episode is rated TVMA, so will this video be, and like all other videos I've done on the show, there will be spoilers for the episode itself, and all the ones leading up to it, all of which I love. Let's dive right in. So, yeah, another really solid finale. Let's see, there's several things. I think I'll talk Andrea first. Really gonna miss her character. I have read that apparently the actress Laurie Holden wanted out of her contract, and so that's why. And yeah, you know, I feel like the governor knew that Milton would try to stab him. He just wanted Milton's last act to be a failure, and for Milton to bleed out, knowing that once he dies, he'll turn and attack Andrea. So, you know, his punishment must be much more severe than just, you know, because he didn't trust him anymore at that point. He could have just killed him, but he wants it, yeah. Because he's a very sadistic character, the governor. And yeah, the fact that, you know, Milton, one of the tools back there wasn't Allen, the wrench, the tool, but it was, you know, these, what are they called, pliers, you know, so she can apply the pliers to the pliable material of the, you know, and cut herself out. That was a really great, and the thing of, you know, her like watching him, and for a while he is, you know, for a while we're like, oh, he's dying, he's turning, and then he, you know, says something, so it's like, okay, thank goodness, you know. And yeah, she manages to get the pliers. I really hope there really are pliers. I'm not a tool guy, you know. I'm not Tim the Tool Man Taylor here. Did I ever say on camera the show Home Improvement here in Denmark is translated into something that would translate back into English as 10 Thumbs, which I do think is a pretty good title for that show. Anyway, yeah. Is it bad that, like, the thing I remember most about that show is that one of the actors went on to appear in, I want to say, Burn Notice? Even though I watched a lot of episodes. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, she manages to get the pliers with her bare feet. Guest director Quentin Tarantino. And the bit where she lifts it and then drops it is also very reminiscent of a bit in the first Sin City movie, so yeah, quite appreciated that. And yeah, ultimately she does manage to, but only just in time. I love the one shot where he's like barely, let's see, yeah, I guess he is kind of out of focus, but we see a little bit of movement, you know, in the foreground while she's there in the background. If that's not a purposeful reference to 1982's The Thing, I feel like it's got to be a reference to what, you know, it's possible that The Thing 1982 was referencing something else. So just, yeah. Certainly that scene was reminiscent of something in the original Thing. Anyway, yeah. And we don't see the fight, and it turns out, you know, yeah, she managed to kill, you know, Milton the zombie, Milton the biter, Milter, but he did also bite her, and it's a place they really can't, you know, isolate. This is not like the leg or something, just, yeah. And she went out, you know, somewhat on her own terms, and, you know, I think it was smart of the episode to have it be Michonne in there, because, like, we know, when we hear that gunshot, like, we don't think that, you know, is there any chance that maybe Michonne is just going to pretend that Andrea... No, 100%. That's not Michonne. She would not, you know... When someone wants to not turn, she's gonna do what she can to make sure that they actually are able to prevent from turning. I think that does cover... Yeah, let's see. Yeah, the attack... I quite appreciated that, yeah, the governor is still, riling people up to get them in a, into violence. Them's fighting words that he's saying. And the seriously really, really gutsy, let's see, Tyrese and Sasha both say, count us out, and for a second he does look like he's, it's probably just because there's so many people there. Other than that, he probably would, yeah. And, he does say, okay, sure, just, stay here, take care. Well, actually, I think they said that, but he says okay to that. Stay here, protect those who can't fight. And, yeah, the attack on the prison itself was really, really great. One of the best action scenes of the show so far. I love that we didn't see exactly what Rick and the others had planned. We only really see, for almost the entire bit, we see it from the perspective of the Woodbury residents, And for a while, it looks like, oh, I guess the prison is abandoned, but the fact that the Bible was open and on a very appropriate verse was, yeah, it's like, okay, no, for sure. I suppose it's not impossible that it just means that they're like, it's like a final fuck you, but they are gone. But yeah, I got the sense that no, they're still around, and let's see, the governor goes into the cell that's full of open Bibles. And yeah, it's only when they're deep in these hallways, there's some flashbangs, and the alarm goes off, attracting walkers, and yeah, that flushes them right back out. And now Glenn and Maggie are there, behind cover with rifles, wearing this kind of SWAT tactical gear kind of thing. And as far as I could tell, someone ran up to the machine gun and made it jam between, because it wasn't jammed when they left it. And that's also, yeah, if you don't leave a guard there, if you know what you're doing, from what I understand, never tried it myself, but I believe it's fairly easy to jam a machine gun. Yeah. Means, opportunity, knowledge, that's all you need. It's not rocket surgery or anything. Let's see, which, as we know, requires both fuel and scalpel. I think rocket surgery is actually what they do with that, like, spinning scalpel from the movie Sunshine, which is on my list. I am going to review Sunshine. I can't promise it'll be super soon, although I'm thinking some Danny Boyle. We're getting another 28 movie, which, about fucking time. Been waiting. Yeah, we've all been waiting for almost 20 fucking years. But yeah, we'll be doing the first two leading up to the new one coming out, and then that one. And then I might as well do some other Danny Boyle. Big fan of the guy. Anyway, yeah. And yeah, understandable that they all flee, because at the end of the day, they're not most of them are not soldiers. They're civilians who've been given a gun and some training for shooting. It's not, yeah, that was very, very nicely done. And yeah, they get a bit down the road, and the governor is furious. And yeah, it really was just a matter of time before he really did just, completely, yeah, he guns down. He thinks he guns down everyone. Karen manages to hide, and it's a great moment of tension that he runs out of bullets just before shooting, because the way that Karen is under that other guy, yeah, like the bullet would have killed her too if he shot the guy on top of her in the head. And very clever of her to hide inside the car, and obviously the biters are gonna start by focusing on the dead that are just lying around. You know, they don't want to have to. You know, if Rick and the others had not come around, they would have had to work for their meal. But right now they don't. And yeah, Rick and the others, I quite appreciate. We don't even need to see it. You know, we just see them find Karen, and you know, there's obviously some tension. But next time we see, you know, yeah, we see them exchange a few words, but we don't. I feel like there's probably more of a conversation there, and we don't really need to see it because we know what's gonna be said, and you know, we see, yeah, clearly, like Rick and the others accepted the explanation, and really they have no reason not to, because yeah, this has never been, you know, the Woodbury residents are not gung-ho on this whole thing. They just want to be safe, you know, and the governor manipulated that, telling them that they, you know, so again, we have this kind of, you know, suburban, you know, and totalitarian kind of thing going on, where, yeah, like, there are first-hand accounts of, you know, people who, you know, lived in the suburbs or a totalitarian regime, and once they found out how bad things, you know, yeah, they were like, I'm sorry, I didn't know, you know, I was never intending for this, you know, we were told this was necessary, and we believed. Yeah. And I do also really appreciate, Rick and the other, you know, and yeah, them taking them in, and Carl is like, I don't know about this, you know, walks off. I think there's going to be some friction there, and I look forward to it, because yeah, like at this point, you know, he's a little too young to fully understand. You know, sometimes people do bad things. Doesn't mean they're bad people. There are reasons why people end up doing bad things. And yes, I appreciate the irony, because I sometimes, to be clear, I don't think that any person is inherently evil. I think there are choices to make, and those choices, it's easier to choose good the more safe of a situation you're in. I don't blame anyone for stealing food if it's the only way to feed themselves or their loved ones, for example. You know, I believe we should be trying to solve everybody's problems, just, you know, keeping in mind it is not a problem that minorities are, you know, gradually getting more rights, although, you know, now that's under attack. It's a problem that there are people who have more money than they'll ever need, whilst other people are literally dying because of things that money could solve. But yeah, Carl has, you know, as soon as he found out Woodbury even existed, he was told, oh, they might be dangerous to us, and, you know, several people from there have turned out to be dangerous, you know. And him shooting that one guy, I think they played it right, because it really was, like, I think it would have been, like, if the guy had literally, I feel like if he had, like, slowly taken a few steps back and then leaned down, put the gun on the ground, I can understand how Carl thought that he was about to shoot. Like, I was thinking, wait, is he, because he's still really close to Carl right before Carl shoots him, is he going to try to, like, overpower Carl, maybe, or something? And, you know, I do agree with Herschel that it was wrong for Carl to shoot this kid, but I also understand how they ended up like that. And I do think the staging really helped solidify, you know, because like you gotta be careful how far you push it. I don't think they're trying to make Carl look like he's just overly like paranoid to the point where he's just unreachable. It's more like you really don't want him to take too many steps down this road, you know. And Rick does take Herschel seriously and does talk to Carl and say, "Are you sure he wasn't trying to surrender?" You know. So let's see. But yeah, you know, most of most of Rick's people 100% accept, you know, these Woodbury people, you know, they haven't done anything, you know, like they might. Yeah, see, Karen is there, so I don't know if that's going to be, and technically Tyrese and Sasha did fire upon. Yeah, it's not absolutely nothing, but several of them are like people who never did anything to threaten Rick and the others. Let's see. But yeah, that was also a great scene. Them talking at the wall, you know, and yeah, Karen. I like that. You know, at first Karen, like she stands up and she says, "It's me, Karen," and I think it's like Rick who pulls her down, and then she's like, "Get off me," and stands back up and steps out, you know, and has a conversation. You know, it's again this thing of like Rick is still like a little too, you know, convinced that violence is necessary, and Karen knows, you know, she knows Tyrese and Sasha a little bit better, and is fully aware. No, they're not gonna shoot once we explain the situation. You know, it's communication. There's so many throughout history, throughout human history. There are so many cases where violence was prevented or ceased because of communication. You know, it's actually not very natural for human beings to engage in violence against each other. Like sometimes we might, you know, we can feel anger and feel like we want to, but a lot of people will regret it once they've committed violence against someone else. So communication to avoid violence is crucial. Let's see. I think that does pretty much. Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly how they were going to leave this one. The governor is essentially the first, like, real central antagonist of a season of this show so far. You know, season one, it was like there wasn't that much in the way of like someone else. There was some, you know, yeah, Shane and Rick definitely didn't always agree, and there was some tension there. Then season two, also not that much of like consistent threat of like a specific group. There was a little, you know, but yeah, Shane becomes increasingly dangerous, and it ends with Rick killing him. And yeah, now like the governor is still out there, and you know, Martinez, and let's see if I can find the name. I don't offhand see. Okay, I'm gonna see if it's in the. Yeah, I'm genuinely not sure what. Oh, Bowman, I think. You know, the two of them are still around, but that's not a lot. And he lost, you know, one of the cars, and I think it was specifically the car that had the machine gun, so even if they could unjam it, which might be possible, that's not, you know, that's again just, you know, means, opportunity, and knowledge. But yeah, you know, they have access to Woodbury, but without way more men, I don't see how they'd be able to take the prison. I suppose it's possible he's gonna try to like go around recruiting, maybe. I'm genuinely not sure what they're gonna do next with yeah, excited to find out. And I realized after recording the video for the episode before this one, there were two things that I didn't say anything about in that episode. I did briefly want to say I did think it was devastating that Daryl has to kill Merle. You know, just yeah. And at first he's just pushing him away. It's like it is like a brother thing of like, you know, what it's almost like, why are you making me do this? Why did you do this? Why do you have to make everything so difficult? You know, and then he kills him. You know, just the Norman Reedus killing, you know, the undead with Blade. Wait, that's a different, yeah. I mean, I feel like that could apply to both that scene and that movie. Anyway, yeah, and the fact that the reason Rick chose not to give over Michonne was because he saw Laurie again. And yeah, you know, she got him to remember, you know, goodness gracious. And Great Balls of Fire. And in this episode he sees her again, and then at the end he doesn't see her. You know, which I think arguably could be taken to mean, you know, she was trying to encourage him, and now she is happy with what he's done. Well, I mean, okay, now I'm talking about it as like she's a ghost. I do think it is his conscience, you know. But yeah, his conscience wanted him to take care of the people of Woodbury, you know, and not give over Michonne, and now that is, yeah. I think that might more or less cover... Right, and I also appreciate it's specifically the, you know, it's not Laurie the way she looked right before she died. It's Laurie before she gave birth, and in some of it she's like touching her stomach, so yeah, really reminding him of hope and goodness. You know, Judith is a great symbol for hope for the future. You know, Laurie could have chosen to abort her, almost did, you know, regretted it, gave birth, it killed her, but it also means, you know, there's this sense that, you know, life finds a way.